Shekar, I always enjoy catching up with you at Mobile World Congress, and it's really been impressive to track Arcus's growth story. Maybe before we dig into what's new, you can reflect a little bit on how you've gone from being a startup to a key player in AI networking.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me here. Always great to be here at Mobile World Congress and just kind of enjoy this event. There are really three trends that we look at which has boosted our growth phenomenally. The first one is data center build out. So we're just seeing this flourishing where for various kinds of applications related to enterprises, people are building out data center capacity globally. I mean, frankly, they're just like grabbing land wherever it's available with some power and putting a data center on it, which then in turn leads them to populating that with infrastructure, which then leads them to saying, okay, what's the best and most efficient networking architecture you can deploy? And that comes to us at Arcus. The second trend is really around telcos and 5G and communication service providers. Specifically, they've built out all these fairly expensive 5G networks, and now they're trying to figure out what is the best form of monetization. And in turn, what that requires them to do is find ways to deploy services on top of that 5G architecture. And once again, this requires you to have a flexible networking fabric that you can then create and deploy those network services on top of, and that brings them back again to Arcus. And the third trend, of course, is what everybody's been hearing about and talking about, which is AI.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about what's going on in the world of AI. You mentioned the rush to build out compute capacity. A lot of the emphasis now is obviously on training large models, but everyone's tracking a major shift towards inference.
Yes.
I know Arcus recently announced its Arcus Inference Network Fabric. Maybe take us through that and help us understand how that's going to support this shift in workload from training to inference.
Yeah, so if you think about it, training is about taking really good, big, large models, adding kind of more and more intelligence to it. And you've now reached a point where, sure, the models can be improved and there's incremental improvement in these consolidated data centers, but now it's time to figure out how to use those models effectively for results. And so if you think about whether that's an enterprise user or a consumer at the other side interacting with a model LLM, and if the result has something to do with autonomous driving, or it has something to do with, I don't know, drilling oil on rigs, or a point of sale machine in a retail store, then each of these use cases are different in terms of their requirements around latency, around security, around power management. And so the old world ideas around things like load balancing and caching, which applied to websites, are no longer just easily translatable into the world of AI. You need a network that is efficient in its distributed architecture, connecting all these edge nodes to the training points as well as between the edge nodes. And furthermore, you need to have the policy richness to be able to impose on top of all of these steering points or routing points. And that's what we have come up with. We've come up with an architecture which is extremely neat, compact and efficient in terms of how it can connect all these training nodes through intelligent routers, policy-aware AI essentially. And you can then take those policies which can have to do with latency reduction or throughput improvement or power optimization or sovereignty for kind of localization of data, and then use that to then create the most efficient inferencing architecture. So that's what we are super proud of, and I would appreciate if everybody just comes to our booth and takes a look at it.
Yeah, and so in addition to this inference network fabric, I know you've had a number of partner and customer announcements here at the Congress. Could you maybe take us through the highlights and help us understand directionally what that signals for Arcus's continued growth?
Yeah, so first of all, what we're most excited in addition to the AINF announcement is what we are announcing today with Fujitsu and with Onefinity. They have a chip called the Monaka chip, and Monaka is essentially purpose-built for inferencing architecture. So you take Monaka, you combine that with AINF from Arcus, and then you take like optical interconnects from the Onefinity team, which is the networking team within Fujitsu. You put all these things together, and you now get this completely efficient AI infrastructure for inferencing for customers. So super exciting, and we're really, really eager to see that get to market soon. Then we're also announcing, along with a company called Lightstorm, which is a big networking provider in Asia, the combination of Arcus Inference Network Fabric along with their Polarin technology for network as a service, and the two together are now going to be able to support large customers, hyperscalers, as well as other enterprise customers as they enter markets in the Asian geography. And then we have two partners on the hardware side. One is UfiSpace, and the other one is Lanner. And we have announced, again, technologies where Arcus network software, our ArcOS operating system, along with UfiSpace hardware, and then separately along with Lanner hardware, are now bringing complete end-to-end solutions for our customers for data center and AI applications.
Excellent. That's all great stuff, Shekar. And again, I always appreciate the chance to catch up with you at the Congress. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me here.